There are so many iconic characters within Dragon Ball, but what about those that have slipped through the cracks of time? I'm talking about characters who have either appeared in just a single episode, a movie, or a one-off video game appearance. Today I'm going to be shining a light on a lot of these obscure and forgotten Dragon Ball characters who could very well make their long-awaited return as potential DLC characters for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. From mysterious villains with untapped power to characters that are connected to some of the most legendary characters in Dragon Ball, these hidden gems offer unique abilities, quirky designs, and they have untold backstories which honestly deserve to be in the spotlight. Whether if you're a long-time Dragon Ball fan or if you've been here for a very long time, this video is gonna definitely deepen your knowledge about Dragon Ball. I'm very confident that this top 10 list of obscure characters will include some that even you have forgotten about, or you may have never known that they existed in the first place. So trust me, you're definitely going to want to stick around until the very end of this video, because we're going to be counting down some very surprise picks, including some fan favorites from Akira Toriyama himself from some of his lesser known works which will blow your mind. So without further delay, here is my list of the top 10 most obscure characters that need to appear in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. In the number 10 spot, we have none other than Lucifer himself. Now this is the sinister antagonist from Dragon Ball Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle. Lucifer is one of the most overlooked characters in the entire Dragon Ball universe. With his amazing vampiric appearance and his master plan to plunge the earth into eternal darkness, Lucifer is a unique combination of evil sophistication. He has control over an army of demons and he lives in a grand castle, as well as wielding the powerful Sleeping Princess, which is a gem capable of absorbing energy from the full moon in order to power his terrifying Devil Castle cannon. Lucifer's plan in Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle is to destroy the sun and then rule over a world which is dominated by the undead in complete darkness. Lucifer possesses notable abilities as he's adept at fighting, he has control over key manipulation, and he can fire energy blasts like the deadly Blood Bomber. His presence in Dragon Ball is limited as he's only in a early Dragon Ball movie, which leaves him largely forgotten by a lot of modern fans. Despite being strong enough to match Goku in hand-to-hand combat and effortlessly hold Krillin hostage, Lucifer in the movie ends up being defeated when his very own cannon backfires and it destroys him in a moment of irony. So while Lucifer is an obscure character and he has a one-off appearance in an early Dragon Ball film, his inclusion as a DLC character in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero would definitely be very exciting to see, especially for long-term fans, as it would bring a classic but forgotten villain back into the spotlight. So in the number 10 spot, I definitely think Lucifer earns his position in the roster of Sparking Zero characters. So next, in the number 9 position, we have Chilled. Now this is a space pirate and ancestor of Frieza who makes his first appearance in Dragon Ball episode of Bardock. Despite Chilled having a connection to one of the most iconic Dragon Ball villains, he is still very overlooked as a character. Unlike his famous descendants like Frieza, King Cold, and Cooler, Chilled's claim to fame lies in his role as the first member of the Frieza race to encounter a Super Saiyan who is in fact Bardock during a time-traveling encounter. Chilled's appearance mirrors Frieza's first form as he has small horns, a orange dome on his head, as well as having light purple skin. What truly sets Chilled apart from Frieza is his personality. Chilled is a very arrogant and cruel individual, but he still is very protective over his family. Before succumbing to Bardock's Super Saiyan power, Chilled made sure to send a warning to his descendants about the Saiyan threat, ultimately leading to the infamous fear that Frieza harbored towards Super Saiyans. Despite this significance that Chilled has within the Dragon Ball lore, he has remained very obscure due to the fact that he's only appeared in a single OVA and he's made a few video game appearances. It would be very interesting to see another member of the Frieza race appear in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero as a DLC character. I think that it would add a bit more variety to the roster, as it would represent the early lineage of Frieza's family. Chilled's unique moveset, including his deadly Death Razor as well as his tailed based attacks, would make him very fun to play as, and it would finally give this forgotten ancestor of Frieza a chance to shine. In the number 8 spot, we have King Gurumes, the main antagonist from Dragon Ball Curse of the Blood Rubies. King Gurumez stands out as a rare but often forgotten character in the lore of Dragon Ball. He's revealed to be the small but greedy ruler of the land of Gurumez, but after he discovers the mystical blood rubies, it transforms him into this huge purple-skinned monster consumed by an insatiable hunger. As his greed had grown, so did his monstrous appearance as well as his desire for more wealth and food. This is what had ultimately pushed King Gurumez to a life of tyranny, as he had then started to oppress his people. Gurumez's tragic quest to cure his endless appetite led him to seek out the Dragon Balls, hoping to wish away his hunger. His reign of terror had brought him into conflict with a young Goku and Bulma, who had set out to stop the king from further destroying the land in pursuit of more food. Eventually, King Gurumez's evil plans were thwarted when a wish was made to Shenron to restore his humanity. Now, as a potential DLC character in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, King Gurumez could bring a unique and monstrous moveset to the game. Similar to the likes of Uzaru Baby as well as the playable Uzaru characters, King Gurumez would offer a bit more of a variety to the massive sized characters that are in the game, as well as offering some different types of powerful attacks such as his Gurumez Cannon and his devastating stomps that he has. I definitely think that this Dragon Ball movie exclusive character would be very nostalgic for fans to have in Sparking Zero, and it's again a fresh and obscure addition to the already enormous roster of 164 characters in the game. In the number 7 spot, we have a very interesting pick and one of my favorite obscure characters in the series. It's the younger brother of Vegeta, Tarbell. He is an often overlooked Saiyan who makes a rare appearance in the 2008 Dragon Ball Z OVA called Yo Son Goku and His Friends Return. Despite his royal lineage, Tarbell is anything but the typical Saiyan warrior. He lacks the natural aggression and fighting instincts of his Saiyan race, as he was banished to a remote planet by his father King Vegeta, who had deemed him to be unfit for battle. Tarbell's polite and gentle nature contrasts sharply with his Saiyan heritage, and it makes him a very unique character in the Dragon Ball universe. Now, despite Tarbell not playing a major role in the main canon story, his connection to Vegeta and his involvement in facing the villainous Abo and Kado ensure that Tarbell is remembered by die-hard fans who have seen the 2008 OVA, no matter how obscure of a character he is. Tarbell's reliance on his scouter and the fact that he couldn't handle these Frieza level foes showcases his low level power, but also his bravery because he was still determined to protect his planet from them. In Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Tarbell would offer a refreshing take on these Saiyan type characters, as his moves like Gallic Gun would be really cool to use, and the potential for him to have voice lines with Vegeta's character would be really fun to hear too. His inclusion as a playable DLC character would be really cool, especially considering he was a playable character in Dragon Ball Z Raging Blast 2. Also, despite how obscure a lot of these characters are, it's very likely that most of them have appeared within Dragon Ball Heroes, the card-based game which was really huge in Japan. In the number 6th spot, we have one of my favorite obscure Dragon Ball villains, and it's the ultimate weapon created by Dr. Lychee. It's none other than Hachihyuk. Hachihyuk's mission is to wipe out the remaining Saiyans as a revenge for the destruction of the Tuffle race. Hachihyuk's ruthless efficiency and his ability to harness the energy of hatred sets him apart from other Dragon Ball villains, as he first appears in the OVA Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, which was made way back in 1993. It's here where he materializes as a powerful warrior after absorbing all of the negative energy from all of the deceased souls of the Tuffles. Hachihyuk's distinct design makes him stand out with his pink skin-like material and red armor covering his body. His most dangerous attack, the Revenger Cannon, becomes a deadly force, only firing after 15 seconds of charging. Despite being a machine, Hachihyuk demonstrates a relentless desire to fulfill his creator's mission as he battles against Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and the other Z fighters, as he's made quite a few appearances in Dragon Ball video games, initially in the Playdia game Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, and then in Raging Blast 2 he was the central villain, as the OVA Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans was recreated for that game and Hachihyuk was a playable character in Raging Blast 2. Now, he's also appeared within Dragon Ball Heroes as well as Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, so I think that him appearing in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero would be super interesting, as it would introduce another powerful antagonist who also has some iconic transformations like the Super Hachihyuk form or its terrifying giant form. As a villain, Hachihyuk is one of Dragon Ball's lesser known antagonists from one of the OVAs that not too many people have seen, but despite his obscure status, you cannot deny that he's very powerful, and he would be an exciting addition to the roster of Sparking Zero. In the number 5 spot, we have the brilliant creator of Hachihyuk, Dr. Lychee. He is a vengeful Tuffle scientist who serves as one of the main antagonists in Dragon Ball Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. After witnessing the annihilation of the Tuffle race at the hands of the Saiyans, Dr. Lychee became consumed by hatred as he devises a plan to eliminate every last Saiyan. He creates the machine being Hachihyuk designed to absorb the negative energy from all of the fallen Tuffles, as he's designed to power up in order to exact Dr. Lychee's revenge. Lychee's appearance evolves after he dies, as he first appears as an elderly man with long white hair, similar in appearance to Dr. Gero, but later he transforms into the ghostly figure of Ghost Lychee, with bluish skin and his iconic red eye. Despite being a ghost, he retains his intellect as he uses tactics such as the Destron gas in order to weaken his enemies. Lychee's deep-seated grudge against the Saiyans fuels his mission for revenge, and in his ghostly form he fights alongside Hachihyuk in an attempt to destroy the surviving Saiyans. It would be really cool to include Dr. Lychee in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, because despite Hachihyuk being playable in Raging Blast 2, unfortunately, Dr. Lychee didn't get the same love, and I feel like a tactical villain like this needs to be added to the massive roster of Sparking Zero characters. In the number 4 spot, we have a very obscure character that not many of you will know about, and it's Onio, who is a Saiyan introduced in the spin-off manga created by Akira Toriyama, Nico Majin Z. Onio stands out not just for his comical nature, but also because he can transform into a Super Saiyan, a rarity even amongst his race. Unlike most of the Saiyans that we've encountered in Dragon Ball, Onio is far from a serious warrior. In fact, he's a light-hearted character who lands on Earth with his wife called Honey during their honeymoon, and Onio has plans to turn the planet into their summer home. However, things quickly spiral out of control when Nico Majin Z gets involved. Onio becomes furious when Nico Majin Z inappropriately touches Honey, causing him to unleash his Super Saiyan transformation. However, even in his Super Saiyan form, Onio is easily bested by Nico Majin Z, showcasing that his power level, while impressive in his own right, pales in comparison to others. Despite being able to turn into a Super Saiyan, Onio's strength is more there for comedic relief. As you see when he transforms into a Super Saiyan, what very little head that he does have just stands on its tips, and it looks absolutely hilarious. Onio's exaggerated character paired with his lackluster combat abilities would definitely make him a fun addition to the Dragon Ball Sparking Zero roster. Bringing in Onio would add some humorous elements to the game, while still giving fans another Super Saiyan to control in battle, which is always fun in my opinion. It won't surprise you to know that Onio has never appeared in any Dragon Ball video games, so it would definitely be fun to have him in Sparking Zero. We're now in the top 3, and in the 3rd spot we have Kuriza, the son of the infamous Frieza. He makes his debut appearance in Nico Majin Z, Toriyama's spin-off comedic manga. Despite Kuriza's lineage, he is not as menacing as his father or his uncle Cooler. His appearance mirrors Frieza's first form, with one distinctive difference, which is a chestnut-shaped head, thus making him a quirky character in the Dragon Ball world. Now, the gems on his body are brown or purple depending on where you see his character appear. One thing cannot be mistaken, his physical resemblance to Frieza is definitely there, even in his final form. Unlike his relatives, Kuriza isn't that evil. In Nico Majin Z, Kuriza visits Earth only to be humorously outmatched by Nico Majin Z after a brief battle. This playful encounter highlights his comedic side, thus adding to his overall charm, as he transforms into a form similar to Frieza's final form, but he ends up being bested by Nico Majin before their fight even takes off. In Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission, Kuriza plays a more serious role as he showcases loyalty to his father Frieza and his uncle Cooler. He seeks to restore their family's honor after their defeats, and Kuriza's final form paired with his father's signature Death Ball attack makes him a formidable opponent. Now, Kuriza does appear in Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2, so it is very likely that he may appear in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero as a obscure obscure DLC character, and I think that he would be very fun to have in the game. Okay, we're in the number 2 spot, and this goes to Majin Ozoto, also known as the Super Monster. Now, this is one of the most elusive, obscure villains in all of Dragon Ball. He was first introduced in an arcade game released in the 90s called Dragon Ball Z VR Versus. He later returned as the main antagonist in Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Ozoto's power-hungry nature and his unique shape-shifting abilities make him a powerful opponent, as he's able to transform into his enemies as well as absorbing their powers. Majin Ozoto's design was created by Toriyama himself, as he's a really tall demon with horns and 3 eyes, as well as having a very unique color scheme. But his true form is even more terrifying, as he transforms into a larger size, as he grows multiple arms and has an eye on his stomach. In Dragon Ball Heroes, Majin Ozoto continues his quest for power as he absorbs characters like Piccolo, Gohan in order to gain their abilities. Ozoto's tricks and deceptive nature make him very dangerous, as he uses cunning strategies to outwit his opponents, such as stealing the Dragon Balls in order to achieve his goals. Ozoto's desire for power drives him to absorb some of the strongest fighters in the universe, but his strength still falls short when facing the likes of Ultra Instinct Goku. Majin Ozoto's appearance in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero would be a fresh, unpredictable element to add to the game, as he's never really appeared in a mainline console game before. And he's definitely going to be a challenging villain for even some of the strongest Z fighters to go up against. Okay, we have 2 honorable mentions for this list before we hit the number 1 spot, and the first is Arale Norimaki. This is the playful and immensely powerful android who is the main character of Toriyama's other super hit work, Dr. Slump. Arale has appeared in several Dragon Ball video games, including Budokai Tenkaichi 3, so it would only make sense for her to make an appearance within Sparking Zero. She has boundless energy and optimism, and her character perfectly slots into the world of Dragon Ball. So yeah, I'd love to see Arale bring her iconic moves to Sparking Zero like Nachan Cannon and Earth Splitter. My other honorable mention goes to Krillin. This is a super rare character who appears as a villain in the Dragon Ball Shenron no Nazo video game. You're definitely not gonna know who this is because he makes a one-off appearance in a game that was released in 1986, and we don't really hear from him ever again. Although he shares a name which is similar to Krillin, Krillin is a completely different character. He's a 4-armed alien fighter who does have a physical resemblance to Krillin. He works under Monster Carrot, but is not a member of the Rabbit Gang. Interestingly, he is described as the #1 assassin in the universe in Age 750, a title which contrasts his minor role that he has, as he is very easy to defeat in the game. His obscurity, as well as the fact that he closely resembles Krillin, it would be very surprising if he were to appear within Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So yeah, you're not gonna know who Krillin is unless you had played this very early Dragon Ball video game. Okay, we finally reached the number 1 spot, and my number 1 pick for the most obscure Dragon Ball character which needs to be included in Sparking Zero, it's none other than Nico Majin Z. This is a character again who originates from Toriyama's Nico Majin manga comedic series, and I would love for him to appear within Sparking Zero. He features in a parody of the Dragon Ball universe called Nico Majin Z, which adds even more of a comedic twist to the wacky elements that Dragon Ball is known for. Nico Majin Z showcases incredible strength and abilities that rival some of the strongest fighters in the series. We learn that he is trained by none other than Goku himself, as Nico Majin Z also wears a gi similar to his mentor's, complete with his very own kanji symbols. Nico Majin Z is known for his light-hearted nature and his tendency for mischief, but he is not lazy when it comes to battle, as he's even able to transform into Super Neko Majin, a form that parodies the Super Saiyan transformation. Although he doesn't turn golden like a Saiyan, his power spikes tremendously, and even characters like Vegeta and Onio recognize his transformation as something similar to a Super Saiyan. Nico Majin Z's fighting style, however, is far from ordinary, as he mixes powerful energy attacks like his Nico Hameha with absurd techniques like farting to catch opponents off guard, and he even manages to land a hit against Goku during a sparring match. Now, while he is a very obscure character, Nico Majin Z makes his debut video game appearance in the Japanese version of Super Sonic Warriors 2. Remember when this game released on the Nintendo DS back in the day, I had bought the European version, desperately trying to unlock Nico Majin Z, only to learn that he's only available in the Japanese version. And he's not even a fully playable character, he's just an unlockable support type character. Like a lot of the other characters on this list, Nico Majin Z has appeared within Dragon Ball Heroes. So yeah, seeing Nico Majin Z make his debut appearance within a a console game would be absolutely incredible, and I am all for welcoming him to the roster of Sparking Zero. Nico Majin Z is hands down my favorite gag character in all of Dragon Ball, and I'm super interested to know how many of these characters that I've mentioned in this video did all of you know about. This was my personal list of 10 of the most obscure and forgotten characters in Dragon Ball who could potentially make a surprise appearance in Sparking Zero. We've talked about everyone from Lucifer to the powerful Nico Majin Z. Each of these characters brings something very unique and exciting to the table, whether if it's untapped abilities, hidden connection to fan favorite characters, or just being very comedic and quirky themselves. Them being included in the roster of Sparking Zero would add even more variety to the extensive list of 164 characters that we already have. So we've now reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What do you guys think of my list of top 10 obscure Dragon Ball characters? Were there any characters that I've forgotten to mention that you think should be included in Sparking Zero? Let me know by creating your very own top 10 lists in the comment section. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next Dragon Ball video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.